If someone was to take away all of my knowledge that I had learned from all of the personal growth books, podcasts, just all of my knowledge around personal growth in general, and they said you were only allowed to keep the information that you learned from one book and one alone, then it would be this one. Hi, my name's Kate. I am a 28-year-old entrepreneur who loves all things to do with neuroscience, personal development, spirituality, just basically anything involved with leveling up your life in any way that you can. Today, if the title didn't already suggest, I am going to be talking to you about the one book that absolutely changed my life. And that book is Atomic Habits. So this video is not going to be a review of the book or an overall summary of the entire book itself. I'm sure there are many other videos out there that can do you a summary of what this book is about. But what I thought I would film today is basically my 5 biggest takeaways that I took from reading this and how I've implemented them into my life. A little bit about who I was before I read this book. So I first read this book in January of this year, so just a little over 7 months ago. And I just wanted to talk to you a little bit about the person I was before I read this. I was very much somebody who would rely on motivation in order to do something, start habits, stick with them for maybe a week maximum, and then would fall off the bandwagon and think there was something wrong with me. I would feel overwhelmed and burnt out because I very much had an all or nothing mindset. On a Sunday evening, decide that I wanted to start 10 new habits on the Monday. And as I say, I might stick with them for a very short amount of time, but then very quickly I would become overwhelmed and burnt out and stop all of them. I was just somebody who assumed that I just lacked discipline. That is the type of person that I was. Since reading the book, I have started a business that I absolutely adore. It now feels effortless for me to take care of my health and my fitness, and I genuinely feel like I am somebody who just enjoys taking care of their body and their mind. I am the most confident that I have ever been in my whole entire life, and I don't feel that lack of confidence is ever something that is going to hold me back. I've developed habits that I have wanted to develop my whole entire life, and I can truly say that they are absolutely effortless now for me to continue with. And the biggest one over everything is that I have so much self-confidence and self-trust because finally the things that I've said I'm going to stick to and the habits I've said I'm going to form, I actually have. And that has affected every aspect of my life. Having an unwavering amount of self-confidence and self-trust is one of the biggest things you can do for yourself in this life. I truly believe that. Okay, let's move on to the 5 biggest takeaways of what I took from this book, what really resonated with me and what I have implemented into my life. Number 1, small habits compound. Before reading this book, I very much had a kind of all or nothing mindset. I thought that if I wanted to adopt a habit, I had to become that person overnight, that it was something that just had to click into place there and then. And that would often result in burnout, in me feeling overwhelmed. And I was just very much seeing habits in a kind of black and white way. Either was somebody who didn't stick with this habit or I was somebody that did. And I didn't realize that actually small little habits will compound over time. And you don't necessarily have to start with a really big habit. You can start with a smaller version of it and build up and scale it once that smaller version is easy for you. The book talks about something called the 2-minute rule, which is where if you are ever starting a new habit, make sure that when you first start out, whatever it is you're doing takes 2 minutes or less. For example, if you are somebody who wants to start going to the gym, instead of just jumping from not going to the gym at all to somebody who goes to the gym, you could start out by being somebody who does a plank for 2 minutes a day. You can simply decide that you will start putting your workout clothes on, not even necessarily to go to the gym, but just to get into the habit of putting the clothes on. Break the habit down into a much smaller version, and this makes it much more manageable, and then you can scale up and build on this as time goes on. I like to compare this a little bit to the compounding effect of putting your money in savings accounts. So if you imagine you were to save £10 every single week, for the first few months, it's really not going to feel like very much. It's not going to look like your efforts are really paying off. But as time goes on, that will compound and it will become a much larger amount than you ever expected. That's how starting off with small habits works as well. Number 2 is the idea that you never miss twice. In the book, it talks about the fact that missing a day is completely normal and it is bound to happen. What you don't want to do, however, is let one day become 2 and then 2 become 3 and 3 become 4, because before you know it, you have completely fell off the bandwagon and you have to start all over again. Missing one day is never going to be an issue as long as you reset the next day and you get right back into it again. You have to make sure that you reset as soon as possible. Don't let yourself have a consecutive number of days where you miss your habits any more than you need to. Getting rid of my all or nothing mindset was also a really big part of this. I used to use missing a day as a little bit of an excuse, I think, to stop a habit. For example, if I said I was going to start doing 10 minutes of Pilates every single morning, the first time I missed a day, I'd sort of go, oh, well, I guess I'm just not the type of person that can keep a habit, and I would stop. That was definitely an excuse I was not holding myself accountable for, but I do now. And if I miss a day, because we're human, we will do, you pick yourself up as soon as possible and you get straight back onto it again. Number 3, there are certain laws that this book talks about, and all of them are fantastic, but there are 2 in particular that really stuck with me. So I'm going to talk about the first one now. Make it obvious. If you watch any of my other content, then you'll know that I love neuroscience. And one of the things that I've learned recently within neuroscience is that we actually operate 95% of the time at an unconscious basis, and we only operate from a conscious basis 5% of the time. When you're first starting out with a habit and it's not yet become one, unfortunately, it's the 5% that wants to adopt the habit, but the other 95% hasn't yet. So you have to make sure there are visual cues within your environment to remind you that you are trying to adopt this habit. Because if there aren't visual cues, you are making it so incredibly hard for yourself. So I'm going to give you some examples of some of the things that I have done. I wanted to be the type of person who took supplements every single day. This is something I used to be very inconsistent with. I used to rely a lot on just remembering simply to take them. Now, I keep them out on my counter where my coffee is, because I can guarantee you I'm going to have a coffee every single day. That means that I'm also going to see where my supplements are every single day. That removes the chance of me simply forgetting that I want to adopt this habit, because it makes it really obvious for me. That leads me on to another idea within this section of make it obvious, and that is something called habit stacking. And this is another incredible thing that I've implemented into my life. If there is something that you do already on a daily basis that is a habit, such as brushing your teeth, having a shower, making a cup of coffee in the morning, anything that you can almost guarantee you are going to do on a daily basis, if possible, start stacking the habit that you're wanting to add into your routine onto something you are already doing. So an example could be if you're somebody who wants to stretch in the morning and work on their flexibility, and you're somebody that currently has a cup of tea or coffee every single morning, do those stretches while the kettle is boiling. And a way to make that obvious so you don't forget to do it in the beginning is to stick a post-it note on the kettle that says do your stretches. That will doubly reinforce this habit, because you're stacking it on top of something that you're already guaranteed to do, but you're also making it obvious by putting that post-it note on there. After a week or 2 of doing this, you can remove the post-it note, and I guarantee you, whenever you flick that kettle on, your brain is going to remember that you need to do your stretches. Adapting your environment to work in your favour so that you can maintain these habits is one of the best things that you can possibly do for yourself. I mentioned just now about post-it notes. They are a fantastic thing to start putting around your home. Might look a little bit weird for your family or people that live with you. They'll understand. If there's something you want to do, start reminding yourself with visual cues that you want to do it. So that even while you're operating on that 95% unconscious basis, you are still reminding yourself of those habits that you want to do. And this will just help while you're reinforcing that habit into place. Takeaway number 4, which is another law that I learned in the book. This is the second one that absolutely has impacted the way that I start habits, is to make them easy and to remove friction. Our brains are hardwired to take the easy route when it comes to taking action. I know I use going to the gym a lot as an example, but that is a habit that a lot of people want to start. If you wake up in the morning and you are aware of the fact you need to pack your bag, you need to go into your wardrobe and pick out an outfit, you need to go and find your headphones and make sure that they're charged before you head to the gym. All of these things are friction that is going to make it less likely that you are going to maintain that habit, or that you're just even going to do it in the first place. The best thing you can do for yourself is make it as easy as possible, remove any friction. With that example I just gave, what you could do instead would be pack your bag the night before and put it by the front door so that it's ready to go. Make sure that your outfit is out and ready and that you can see it first thing in the morning so that it's also obvious. and it makes it super quick for you to just simply get ready as soon as you wake up. And make sure your earphones are definitely charged the night before, and pack them in your bag as well so that you don't even have to think about it. Finally, number 5. I've saved this one to last for a reason, because this is without a doubt the biggest takeaway that I took from this book. I owe the life that I live right now to this particular lesson that I'm about to share with you. You have to shift your identity. All of these practical steps that I have given you are fantastic, and they will work to a degree. If you want to develop lifelong habits that feel effortless, that feel easy to implement and keep in your life, you need to change your identity. Before reading this book, every single goal that I had for myself and every single habit that I wanted to implement, I was focusing on the outcome of what I would get from adopting that habit. I was focusing very much on the external world and what I would get out of doing that. And I never really took a moment to focus inwards and figure out not what it is that I want to start doing, but who it is I want to become. And that really is the secret sauce right there. Start focusing on the who and not the how. Get a piece of paper and write down, who is this person that has adopted these habits? Again, with the example of exercise, if you're trying to adopt the habit of exercising, it's not because you want to be someone who exercises. Most likely it's because you want to be somebody who has a lot of energy, who feels confident in their body, somebody who feels like they have a lot of self-discipline. It's the emotions of getting that thing that you want to feel, not the actual thing itself. You need to get real with yourself about what those emotions are that you want to feel. Do your very best to start to feel those things right now, today. If you can adopt the mindset and the identity of the person who is doing those habits before the habits even start, then everything is going to fall into place so much more easily. I could honestly go on and on for hours about what I've learned and what I've taken away from this book, but those are 5 of the biggest things that have resonated with me and that I have implemented into my life. I hope if you've made it to the end of this video that you've learned something from today. If you are somebody that has read this book, then I would love to hear what your biggest takeaway was, how it's changed your life. As always, if you have enjoyed the video, then I would love for you to subscribe and like this video, leave me a comment, because I'm going to be uploading a video every single week, a bit like this, sharing ways that you can level up your life and live the life that you truly deserve.